My name's Ellie, and I've been in the community for just over 6 years now. I'm doing this interview because a lot of negative things have happened between myself, my mother, the community, and Dave McKay, who's the founder of the Jesus Christians, the Christian community that I'm a part of. I'm speaking of my own accord. Nobody's told me what to say. I'm just trying to tell the truth. Things started off very positively. Renee was openly supportive of me joining the Christian community and also of my marriage.
Seeing you up there, it's like, oh my goodness, you're really not my little girl anymore. But I don't think I've just gained a son-in-law. Like to think as I've gained a community. And thank you for being here and
The first 2 years that I was in the community, I think the people who were introduced to Renee from within the community understood that she was friendly and supportive of the community and what we stood for. So for the first 2 years, I can't see that she had anything but a positive perspective from those who had met her and or knew of her. Because I would tell people that my mother's really supporting. It's really nice. So I have a good relationship with her. Probably a year and a half, 2 years after I joined, she discovered some cult sites that were spreading lies about the Christian community that I'm a part of, the Jesus Christians. And she believed those lies. And I told her that what she'd read wasn't true and that they were lies. I tried to tell her, I'm safe. There's nothing wrong with the community, but she didn't listen to me. And since then, she's tried to cause a lot of trouble for me, the community, my husband, and also Dave McKay. I'd been in the community for almost 2 years when I started to see the effects of the breakdown in the relationship. So there was a time I tried to invite her to have a meal. The house the community was staying at one point, and she just refused to come. She refused to meet me with any of my Christian friends. She's just spread a lot of lies and misinformation about who the community is and what they do. And she stops listening to me when I tried to tell her that the lies weren't true. She put out fake missing persons reports on me, asking for welfare checks to be done on me in Australia, even though I told her that I was safe. And it wasn't long after that she started threatening to report me as a missing person again. And she said to me, if you don't report to me, if you don't send me an email once every 7 days, then I'm going to assume you're missing and file another report. I'm pretty sure I told her, that's ridiculous. Like, I am fine. Like, I shouldn't have to do that. That's not a reasonable expectation to put on anyone, especially like in the first few years of being in the community. I was always encouraged to stay in contact with my family. There was never any reason for anybody to think I was prohibited from seeing Renee. I often told people, I'm just going to call my mother, or I'm just sending an email to my mother or my brother or an aunt or my grandmother. As Renee became more and more difficult to talk to, and as I refuted her lies and she wasn't listening to me, I chose to stop having phone calls with Renee. I told her I would prefer to keep the communication to email. And that was because I wanted her to be held accountable for what she was saying. When you're having a phone call, it's hard to remember what's really being said. And I know that there was a meetup we had in person, and she said things that I don't remember her saying. For me, it was just also much more simpler to reply to her in my own time when I'm ready to talk to her. I was struggling with how to respond to Renee when she was saying things like she disagreed with my Christian beliefs and how I'm following Jesus. I was regularly getting emails from her that were pages and pages long, actively trying to convince me that my beliefs were wrong. And then, later on, she started sending me a lot of emails saying very nasty things about Dave and the community, just straight out lies. She said that the McKays in general are trying to manipulate and deceive everybody in the Jesus Christians, regularly calling Dave a cult leader. She's made claims like I'm working for him, and she said that, the money that I get goes to Dave. She says that Dave gets kickbacks from kidney donations, like Dave has hidden money, that Dave lives in better living conditions. I know that that's not true because people are very open with how money is spent within the community. And I've seen how Dave lives, and he lives the same way as everybody else. She accused Dave of possibly trying to kill me, saying that, if I try to leave, then Dave's gonna make it look like an accident. Yeah, just things that couldn't be further from the truth. So, I wanted to share the emails that I received from Renee because I felt like I needed spiritual guidance and help, and I feel like people deserve to know the lies that are being told about them. I had shared with people my experiences with Renee growing up, not only growing up, but also emails that she had shared with me since I had joined the community. She seems to have very occult views of the Bible, which matches up with the other things that she said, that she's studied a lot of the occult. She talks a lot about secret and hidden knowledge. So growing up, I had a lot of occult influences. I went to a school that had been founded by somebody who was heavily interested in Luciferianism and Lucifer and occult interests. A man named Rudolf Steiner. I went to a Steiner school, or a Waldorf school, some people know them as. He was very much into Lucifer, even having a magazine that was named after Lucifer. And he had a lot of occult, esoteric, hidden beliefs. He was very much into a lot of weird beliefs that Christians would just outright say is satanic or demonic, Luciferian. And Renee was always very interested in his works. The thing is, with all of these terms, that they're not well defined, so you can't knuckle them down as any one thing. And Renee was interested in all of those things, things like going to stores that were for witches, basically, that sold magic spells and herbs and books on how to do magic. She taught me to do tarot cards and different kinds of divination to tell the future, like palm telling. And she taught me to cast spells. Even before I joined the community, I started reading about those kinds of things and their relationship to Christianity. It's very common amongst all Christian denominations that any kind of magic is evil and demonic. But in many of Renee's emails, she says very clearly that she believes in magic, that she believes in spells. Those were all very major red flags to me and major signs to me that she very well may be a Luciferian. Renee also sent me an email saying that Lucifer is intelligent and beautiful, and that Lucifer was the catalyst for finding the true light of Christ. And I thought that was a sign that she could be a Luciferian. She had an interest in Lucifer. It showed me that I have very different beliefs to my mother. The whole point of the Strange Bedfellows video was to point out how people from different backgrounds, different spiritual backgrounds, have come together to persecute a Christian group. It wasn't to try to defame Renee or to try to prove to the Jesus Christians or to anybody else in the world that she was Luciferian. We weren't trying to do that. We were just trying to show that she was a person with starkly different spiritual and religious beliefs to another few sets of people who were also trying to persecute us. The persecution was what we're bringing these people together, even though they had very different beliefs. So before the Strange Bedfellows video came out, I was shown the script and people asked me what I thought about it, and I told them that I didn't have any issues with the script. When the script was made, I was also shown the video, a final draft, before it was published to our YouTube channel. And my husband Jay watched it as well. We watched it together, and we told other people in the community we didn't have a problem with it being published. I find it quite hard to believe that a whole defamation case came out of that one video. Yeah, I think that Renee had really just been looking for a way to hurt Dave and to hurt me, and she saw an opportunity to try to hurt both of us and to cause harm and damage to the community, and she took it. I think that the judge did point out that we couldn't prove without a doubt 100% that Renee is Luciferian. So I think if Strange Bedfellows had simply said that we thought that Renee could be a Luciferian, or that there was a mother from Australia, or even just there's a mother of one of our members who could be a Luciferian, I think if we had just made that slight change in wording, we probably could have avoided the whole defamation case. And it really wouldn't have changed what the video was trying to communicate. It's quite ironic that the judge did recognize that the only possible defamation to Renee was really only what the Jesus Christians think of Renee because of the video, when it seems like the Jesus Christians are a group of people that Renee isn't even fond of. What I think the judge missed was that the perception of Renee had already been tainted by the negative actions that she was imposing on the community. Even before then, by the time that video had come out, she had already started, causing trouble for me and Dave, and kind of just by consequence other people in the community as well. Like when she made the missing persons report, that didn't just affect me, but affected the people I was with at the time as well. It wasn't her beliefs that gave her a bad reputation, but it was the actions she was taking against us. It was those things that tainted my perspective of her, and I think that affected the perception that other people had of her, even before the video came out. I noticed that the judge said in her final judgment that some of the main damages from the Strange Bedfellows videos had to do with Renee's relationship with me, when I didn't feel that to be true, and I don't think that that's true. I think that the damage to Renee's reputation in my eyes had already been done because of other actions that Renee had done. The video didn't change anything that I thought about Renee. So it's just ironic that that's what the judge said that had ruined Renee's reputation in my eyes, because I had given that information that was presented in Strange Bedfellows. So how could the information that I gave be used to ruin Renee's reputation to me? It just doesn't make any sense. I noticed that through Renee's actions, it seems that more people saw the video than actually would have. The fact that Renee went to several different media outlets shows that she didn't really care who saw the video. It seemed to me more that Renee was taking this case as a way to get attention, as a way to cause trouble and inconvenience for me, Dave, and the Jesus Christian community, rather than actually trying to bring light to a genuine injustice. I was really shocked from one of the documents that came out in the court case to read the chat that Renee had with a couple of other mothers, where Renee said she was pretty much willing to say anything bad against Dave. It didn't matter how big of a liar it was. She would say it. Just ruthless. That was where I read that they were sending letters to people in government offices to try to get us arrested, or try to get me arrested if she could. She said that she would prefer that I would be in jail than in the Jesus Christian community, basically. So that was, very shocking to hear Renee say that. And that was also the first time I had read her accusations of me being forced into marriage. Maybe we can get Dave for forced marriages. Like, they're just trying to scare her that she's going to go to hell if she divorced her husband. Just ignoring the fact that I willingly married my husband, and we married for love, and I don't want to leave him. I'm not leaving him because I don't want to go to hell. I'm with my husband because I love him. It seemed very clear to me that this was an example of mothers conspiring together to bring somebody down, to bring Dave down. Hearing about the reports of organ trafficking and human trafficking were just the most ridiculous thing to me. As couldn't be further from what actually happens in the community. In my time in the community, I've never felt coerced to do anything. I think the word coercion, in particular, by Renee, has been abused, because I feel like Renee's actions have been on her behalf, forms of pressure, and could be labeled as coercion of her trying to get me to leave the community. There's been no organ trafficking, or I've never seen anybody pressured to donate a kidney. There are people who have freely chosen to donate their kidneys altruistically, and they've gotten no financial gain out of that. They've done it purely because they wanted to. And I think the community's done a very good job in making sure it's done out of our own free will. So it's really just sad that something that some people have done just because they wanted to do it out of love has been turned into something so negative. I think this defamation case It's made things difficult because it's shown me that we don't see eye to eye, and that Renee has been very stubborn. I don't expect Renee to believe what I believe, but I would like her to listen to me and to stop spreading lies about Dave and the community. And I would like for her to respect my beliefs. And until she does those things, it's not going to be possible to have a deep relationship with her. It's been ironic in the aftermath of the defamation case that Channel 7 was able to get involved in trying to reunite us, and Channel 7 successfully reunited us in person. But yeah, Channel 7 was only really able to bring things to a superficial level. When Renee came to visit the house with Channel 7, overall, it was quite an awkward experience. Renee's attitude to the community was very cold. She didn't want to shake anybody's hand. She didn't smile at anybody. She was very rude to everybody in the house, except for me and to the people from Channel 7. Yeah, I was quite shocked by her first question when she asked me what did I have to offer her, because I really felt like she was the one who should have something to offer me after having gone so many years of belittling my beliefs and causing me trouble, and yet I was the one who was supposed to have something to offer her. I felt a little bit put on the spot by that question, and so I told her that I felt like we should just start with a clean slate, forgetting about the past, so that we could try to go back to the relationship where we used to have. Unfortunately, Renee didn't really accept my offer, and since then she's her further actions have shown that she doesn't want to have a clean slate with me. After the master interview happened with Dave, Terry, and Felipe, Jay and I didn't feel comfortable having a master interview with Channel 7. We had a lot of concerns about what kind of lies and what kind of misinformation they were going to bring forward. So that was why Jay and I didn't feel comfortable interviewing Channel 7 the next day. For me, it's ironic that when I was younger, I often had conversations with Renee about how the media could twist the truth, and how it's good to not just believe everything that you read in a newspaper or on the television. Unfortunately, that seems to have happened to us in this situation, that the media has twisted the truth again, and this time we're the story. I think I've just learned that it's important to keep telling the truth and try to do what's right, even when it's difficult. Since the defamation case, Dave has put up an apology video. He sold a lot of what he owned and used those proceeds to give to Renee to start repaying. He's downsized by moving out of his house. So because of the reduction in bills that he has to pay, he's able to put his whole pension towards paying back Renee. So I think he's made some big sacrifices to actually pay back Renee, as a way to try to do the right thing. I remember reading at some point Renee saying that if she could prove that Dave had defamed her, then she would be able to accuse Dave of other things and also have success. In the past year, there was the Shakahola Salvation Church situation, which happened in Kenya. We had a little bit of communication and interaction with them several years ago, and Renee took that little piece of information to say that our community, what our community teaches, was the cause of that, and specifically targeting and blaming Dave for that situation, and possibly even sharing some of that information with the Kenyan government or Kenyan journalists herself. I'm not sure, but there is evidence that seems to suggest that. Even more recently, Renee has been causing more trouble for Dave by issuing an intervention order saying that he has been following her just because she saw a white van near her house, and because a couple of us in the community own white vans. It's ridiculous because white vans are the most common kind of van you can find, and there's nothing that Dave has done to suggest that he's persecuting Renee or trying to harass her, or that he would do anything bad to her. It's quite laughable in my opinion, because there's really nothing to be protected against. If there was no intervention order, her life would be the same as it was with the intervention order. The intervention order has really put Dave in a position where he can't even respond to the lies that Renee is telling about him, because with the intervention order he can't produce any videos or mention her in it, even just in a private email. It's very unfair to me, and it's all based on unfounded lies. It's quite sad to see Renee feeling so much hatred and anger for someone. And I really do hope that one day things can improve, and I hope that she will see the error in her ways. Renee claims that she wants to have a better relationship with me, and I've told her over and over again that she's not helping our relationship by causing problems for people in our community, by spreading lies about us. From what I've heard people say is that they want me to have a good relationship with Renee. They would like her to stop persecuting the community, stop persecuting Dave, and they would like for her to just accept what I believe. And I think ultimately it comes down to Renee accepting my lifestyle and my choices. I think if Renee could accept that, we would be able to have a good relationship.